And? So? As I remember, you were all excited about your discovery, and a bit put out when Sally got word from the board that they wanted to keep mum about it. I nodded. I heard a scratching at the door and went to open it. Smokey Joe, the gray library cat that was actually my cat, strutted into the office, his bushy tail flying high. He strode over to his bowl and glanced up at me. Good servant that I was, I hurried to fill it with kibble. When Smokey Joe was busy eating, I turned back to Evelyn. You're right. As soon as I read it, I knew people had to have access to Verity's diary so they would know firsthand how terrified she was while being subjected to the most awful accusations and lies. One of the townspeople insisted she'd used witchcraft to poison his cow so he could acquire her land. Even worse, Verity's neighbor claimed her husband had died because he'd ingested Verity's herbal medicine. I exhaled loudly. Verity could read and write, and was known as an herbalist and healer. She was also a widow who owned land. No doubt some of her neighbors were envious of her wealth and resented the prestige her healing skills gave her. It struck me that Verity's was an extreme case of the Me Too movement. I still think that. But being forced to write a newspaper article isn't in my job description. Sally seems to have forgotten I'm getting married 2 weeks from tomorrow, and I've got tons of things to take care of. Evelyn hopped down from her perch and started pacing toward me. I shivered as she drew near. Though she tried to be considerate, sometimes she forgot that when she came close to me, she brought a chill from the other side. Carrie, my dear, you have everything in order. The band, the photographer, and the caterers. Your father, Bosco, and Harriet are taking care of the rehearsal dinner. Victor promised to have his house and the tent set up on the back lawn in perfect order for the big event. I know you're nervous, but what requires your immediate attention? I ran through the wedding list of obligations that never left my mind. I have an appointment to try on my gown tomorrow morning and hope they got the alterations right. Dylan and I still need to work on the seating arrangements. And? I shook my head in frustration. Right now, I can't remember what else needs taking care of. The truth is, I don't like Sally foisting assignments on me. She'll do anything to bring attention to the library. Maybe so. Evelyn returned to the corner of Tricia's desk and crossed her legs. Is that a bad thing? I feel like I'm being used, exploited. And Verity Babcock? She'll be exploited as a 17th century Me Too victim. I released a sigh of exasperation. But, at the same time, her story must be told. Verity was no witch. Her diary makes it very clear that she was targeted because she was a widow who grew herbs, which she sometimes sold to her neighbors to help them heal. Until one of them took her herbs and died. I grimaced. Not because of Verity's herbs. Of course not. John Whitcomb was sick. It was only when he was dying that his wife begged Verity for medicine. When he died, his distraught widow accused Verity of witchcraft, Evelyn said, repeating what I'd told her. Exactly. I sat quietly for a minute, musing on the last few entries in Verity's diary. Her terror grew as one neighbor after another badmouthed her, drudging up old grievances. I gathered she wasn't the easiest person to get along with, but that wasn't the issue. The number of accusations grew, and a month later, Verity was in jail. 6 months later, she was dead. You'll write a wonderful article about your discovery and the contents of the diary. I know you will. Thanks, Evelyn. Just then, the perfect opening sentence came to mind. I turned to my computer to get it down before I forgot it. When I turned around, Evelyn had disappeared, without a word of parting, as usual. I realized my good humor was restored. Once again, her common sense had made me see in a fresh new way a situation I'd been fuming about. The phone rang. It was Uncle Bosco. Hello.